Welcome all. We'll be getting started momentarily. Hopefully you've watched the film. If not, hang out for around for a little bit and we'll talk non-spoilers. All right. So make sure that comes up. Yeah, do your mute thing. Cool. Are you good to go? All right. Now, yeah, it's like looking behind the thing. So, welcome any and all to the Movie Club Collective. I meant to start it this way, but for once it said, like usually it asked me to confirm. This time it did not. But I was gonna say 3, 2, 1, let's jam. All right.
Woo!
Welcome to our anime themed episode. I think this is the first anime we've done on the show. Not the first animated, but the first sort of anime proper. Welcome any and all to the Movie Club. No, that is our old name. To the Views and Paradox. What's wrong with me today? I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful Rochelle Racine.
Thank you. Hello.
Welcome. How are things over on the West Coast?
I live in a county that doesn't believe in science, but the weather is beautiful.
Gotcha. And joining us for the first time, we have Dee. How's your county? Do they believe in science? It's like, yeah, some do, some don't. Yeah, I'm over in New Jersey, and like, ratings like cases have gone down, but like I still see people out without mask or worse with a mask, but their nose. That one drives me crazy.
That's like wearing
like,
underwear but keeping your dick out. Okay.
It really is. It really is. It's a very good analogy.
Thanks.
And we're off. We've hit the ground running.
Notice we're not monetized yet because we would get demonetized immediately.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, one day we'll get sponsors. We'll have to watch out for that. We'll just have to get like pubic hair trimming sponsors or something to go with that. Yeah. Maybe not.
There's one called Manscaped, by the way, not sponsored.
Yeah. They sponsor a lot of podcasts, but
they do. Yeah.
Are we? They can't hear you. I see. Let me do audio source. All right. Say something now. Oh, hold on. Send it live. Say something now, D.
Test. 1 2 1 2.
All right. We should be able to hear you.
Right.
You want to just repeat all your responses from before?
Sure. I can't even remember where I started.
Yeah, that you weren't going to get Rochelle's vulgarity out of your head. And
oh yeah. No,
that LA County is,
LA County's masked up. Yeah, here we go. All right, sounds good. Says
cool.
They're saying I'm a little soft. Can you boost me up a little bit?
I'm not sure that I can. I can try just a little.
All right. Just a little.
That's as much as I can do.
All right. I guess I can just project.
That's a little bit.
Do my best.
Yeah, the control.
Projection, right?
Speak from your diaphragm.
Diaphragm. I'm not classically trained. I talk from my throat. I'm not classically trained.
The levels are looking better though, actually.
So, good.
Hopefully, yeah. The audio on this program's not the most sophisticated, but it's okay.
Like Zoom was better.
This is way better than Zoom.
Yeah.
At least we can talk somewhat next to each other. We don't have to take giant pauses. Anyway, today we're talking anime, and the film we landed on was Mirai. I was pretty disappointed in general with the availability of anime on major streaming services. Those of you who've been watching the show for a while probably know already that we try to always pick movies that are streaming, either on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, occasionally HBO, but we know
Amazon.
less people have that. Um, and we made one or two exceptions, but we're trying to stick to that as much as possible, especially when we can book guests in the future, as we did with D here. But yeah, I feel like there's just like a ton of really great stuff that you suggested early on. I was just like, I can't find any of that.
A lot of it was on Amazon at some point. I don't know what happened. Like Prime had a bunch of good stuff. But sometimes you just have to catch them as they come in. The
Yeah.
features are
Yeah.
weird. They just don't. It's hard to find good like the animated features.
Yeah,
The animated features are.
and you can still find a lot of the like Miyazaki Studio Ghibli stuff, but I wanted to do something a little bit outside that, just because I've seen all of those, and I personally like to kind of see new stuff
And
when I
they're
can.
all fantastic. I think that there's a lot more that's this guy, the director of this movie, Maru. I don't know how to say his name. Marumo Hosada, I think it is.
Yeah, here I got it here. Yeah, Mamoru Hosada.
Yeah, so he got fired off of Howl's Moving Castle as the
Oh, really?
director. Yeah,
I heard
and
that production was like a train wreck.
I don't know about
That
that, right? But
it
yeah,
went through a hard production. Well, and Miyazaki's son kind of took the lead on Howl's Moving
mm.
Castle, which was something that was like his first time kind of
It's a
attempting
fantastic
to do
movie,
that.
right? I think they did a good job. But yeah, I read an interview. He said that the creative vision wasn't there, and they wanted him to do it a certain style, and then he left and did his own stuff. But I
Yeah.
think I've seen all of his movies so far. He's got like 5 of them out or so.
What else has he done?
His first one, he did a Digimon movie. Well, I haven't seen the Digimon movie. He did a Digimon movie, and then he did I think his own personal projects were like the Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yeah, that one was streaming,
Was it? It's
um,
good. It's good.
but I don't know if it's still. I feel like it's like it just left or something
Mm.
like that.
There's Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and then I think he goes Summer Wars, Wolf Children, Boy and the Beast, and then this might be 6 or
Oh
7.
wow,
This is probably a 7th feature,
yeah,
but yeah,
I've heard of Boy and the Beast. I heard good things about actually.
yeah, it's all right. I like. I think it's one of his weaker. I mean, all his movies are fantastic, but that one wasn't my favorite. But it was good, but it wasn't my favorite.
Gotcha. So this movie, Mirai, is like, I want to say coming of age, but it's even younger than that, really. It's about growing up and, dealing with a second baby in the house. The main character, Kun, is what, 3 or 4? He's like,
Yeah,
Yeah, he's not very
4.
old. He's not very old.
he's a toddler. And he has a new baby sister, the titular Mirai, and there is some magical kind of realism to it. I'd love to get you guys, before we get into kind of spoiler territory, I'd love to get your guys' general thoughts. Like, who do you think this movie's for? Rochelle, I know you've got some thoughts on this film. I'd love to start with you.
This movie is for people that want to learn how to not raise your children. And
Uh,
for people who don't mind like a 90-minute tantrum. Honestly.
so not a fan? Didn't like it, or
I wanted to. I went in with high hopes, to be very clear. I don't have much experience with like watching anime. Everything that I've watched, I've loved it. So I just assumed I was going to go in and just like love this. I had a very strong reaction in the other direction, but I think it's because this kid just literally cries for 90 minutes, and I'm the oldest of 5, and I like my peace and quiet now. So I think that also brought that up for me, like being the oldest and having to see all these like tantrum throwers and not really having much control about it. It's beautifully animated. So if you are looking to just have a beautiful visual adventure, definitely watch it. But realize that this kid cries for 90 minutes.
yeah, well, not the whole 90 minutes,
Okay, sure.
but he does cry in regular intervals throughout.
It's a growing up story. He does grow up, right? It's
Yeah.
about yeah. I don't know. We could go. For me, the big thing I got out of it was it's about like your family and the choices that people make in your family and how they sort of have a butterfly effect. And I thought that was very beautiful and just sort of yeah, just looking at
Yeah.
yeah, just how people's decisions affect a lot of other people, right? And you can see like the mom, and well, we can talk more about when we go to the spoiler territory, but you know the different reasons why people are and their characteristics. I thought that was really nice, and then the family bonds and stuff. And I think for people who like this, and like I think you know if you're certainly anyone. I mean, I don't have kids, but certainly anyone. I would recommend this to someone with kids or someone with fresh kids or
Like,
someone who has like a family and someone they're in tune with their family and stuff, and
yeah.
they like talking about that stuff. I think that's it'd be a
The
good
real
one.
Yeah,
the realism of this was very refreshing. I will definitely give credit to that.
yeah, kids are like that. They are
They are.
not, you know, subject to logical arguments,
Hmm.
and he just like he gets into these fits that we've all seen happen or have done ourselves at some younger point in our lives, and like it is very real in that respect. Yeah, I titled this episode a PSA for future parents, just because like to me it was so real. It's like if you're gonna have kids, it's not all fun and games. It is like dealing with a kid who makes a giant mess and won't clean it, and like will throw a tantrum about not being able to find the right clothes and like all this kind of stuff. Like all that hit very real to me. Um, I do want to highlight the magical realism of this movie. So, some people kind of like that subgenre because it's not as prevalent as other subgenres. I feel like it's kind of um, it's like an underutilized one. But I know a fair amount of indie filmmakers who profess to love magical realism. And so if you're into that kind of thing, this movie does that in spades. Um,
I don't think this movie is ever. I mean, it's a time travel movie, but like the science and how all the magic works is not the basis
yeah.
of the
Well,
movie, right?
that's why I throw it into magical realism because it's like there's sort of an explanation, but you don't need one.
No,
Like
no.
it does it affect things in the long run?
Eh,
Maybe.
it,
like but not really. And so
yeah.
that's why I throw it into that category. Um
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like at least in my memory, there's not a lot of explanation within anime in situations like this. Like
It
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 just
just
depends.
depends. Yeah.
It depends on the
yeah.
anime. It depends on the
Okay.
anime. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
like
go, yeah. There's a million. There's like the whole. I mean, it's just like there's not just one type of storytelling in anime, right? There's just so
yeah.
much.
Okay.
There's a crazy plethora. Like I know you've seen Princess Mononoke, and that one kind of leans on Japanese lore, like folklore, as its explanation. So it doesn't give you a lot, but it kind of expects the home audience to know those things. This one does something completely different than that, where it does just kind of throw stuff at you without explanation. This one is
Well,
it reminded me kind of like a more mature version of My Neighbor Totoro.
Hmm.
Um, I have you guys have seen that? Anyone who's seen that one, like it's about little kids and like there's crazy magical stuff happening all the time, but at the end of the day, you don't really know if it's real or if it's affected anything. Like it's just kind of there. So this is very, I think, similar to that. Um,
well, I
yeah,
think part of, I mean, for me anyway, I think part of what I missed a lot of was just because I really don't know like the Japanese concept of family. Like ours is completely different in Western society.
sure.
So I think that a lot of the lack of understanding on my part was just simply not knowing about that part of
Just
the culture.
cultural
Yeah.
elements. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, before we move into spoilers, I did just kind of want to say that I think this is a good entry into anime because it's very just cinematic. Like this I think is a great starter because it could be live action.
Yeah,
Like it could be just a film. And I love what it does with the medium of like being animated and there's some beautiful just hand drawn animation. I miss that like in general. It's one of the reasons that I've kind of been drawn more and more towards anime because in America we don't do hand drawn anymore. Um,
there's some really nice transitions. The helmet when the helmet turns, he throws his bike helmet right, and then the
mm,
bike helmet flips and it turns
there's
into a
amazing
motorcycle helmet. Yeah,
transitions.
you're just like whoa, and then
Yeah,
Like,
or when they're just like there's like a single shot panning around the house and it's clearly moving through time and like you keep seeing the people in different the father cleaning in different places. Like those kinds of transitions are really nice. Uh and probably a lot easier to do in
I
animation than
loved when they're in the yard and there's just the fish start like moving
yeah.
past them in the yard, and like they're like swimming past them and you're just like, all right, and then it's just like it transitions into like it's just really
Yeah.
nice, right? It's just something you don't
So at this point I'll go ahead and say we're just going to talk full spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, come back. Uh, um highly recommended, just because the conversation might be kind of hard to follow if you haven't seen the movie. We are just going to talk under the guise that you know the major plot points so that we don't have to spend our entire runtime recapping. um, but let's talk about some of the characters, I guess. So we've got like the family unit, like you were saying, and there's uh, you know, Kun is the main character, the kid, about 3 or 4, and he's got mother and father who, do we ever get their names? I don't think we do,
Let me
because
look.
it becomes a point at the end of the movie
even know
where
the names, right? The kid doesn't know the
yeah,
names.
he
Nope.
doesn't know their freaking names because they're
It just
just
says mother, father.
yeah, okay. I thought that was true. Because when that scene was coming, I was like, "Oh, is this a test of our memory? Like,
I don't
did
know.
I did
Yeah.
I forget also what their names were?" But I got the feeling that no, we never get them. Um, what did you guys think of the parents? Because there's a fair amount of them in this movie, and they're doing their best.
They were built. The mom was like tough on the kid because her grandmom was tough on her because she made the same mistakes the kid made. Right? It's like a cycle, right?
Yeah,
Where she was a brat when she was a kid, and she trashed her house, and then her mom was hard on her for it.
yeah. And she
And you
says like the exact same stuff to her
Mhm.
because we see via the time travel
Yeah. So it's
elements.
I don't know. I like yeah, and she even says right when they're talking with her mom, she's like, "Yeah, I was a real handful," and she's like, "Yeah, you're a tough one to raise."
Yeah. Um, and what about the dad? Did you like him? No.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like overwhelmed, right? You could just like, I think if I were to make a guess here, it would be that the filmmaker is probably that's how he felt when his raising
Mm,
his kid
yeah.
when he wrote the story.
He based this a lot on his family life, and in fact, Mirai is the name of his daughter. So,
Oh, is it? Yeah, that's awesome.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cute. Yeah, Rochelle, what did you think of the parents?
I honestly understood where both of them were coming from. Being a parent in general is overwhelming. Now, if you're adding to working full time, especially in the Japanese culture, I know that like your career is right up there with family. It's just as important. So I can't imagine balancing those two in a culture that puts so much importance on work. Um, and then on top of that, you're adding this like baby in where there's already an established 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I felt for them, and like although I wish the mother had been more mature in how she dealt with the situation, I completely understood. Like I get that upset with my dog, so I can't imagine like actual children. And then the dad, I like the dad. I didn't get the sense that he was putting on a show like the wife was accusing him of. He
Mm.
was just doing his best. And so out of everyone in the film, I was just most empathetic towards him because I was like, this dude is trying so hard. Like, leave him alone. Like, no one is perfect. Like,
Yeah.
stop.
I do think that it showcases the director's point of view a lot in that respect. Like you can tell this wasn't directed by a mom, it was directed by a dad because we are more sympathetic to the dad. And we get this like hint. The movie kind of tells us without showing us that like the mom did the brunt of the work for the first baby, and that he was just like so obsessed with his work that he was kind of not helpful with raising Kun in the early years, and that they're doing this reversal. But because we don't see any of that happen, like it's very hard to empathize with the mom because she's always on the attack. Like she's she's like always kind of upset with him, and she seems to be holding this grudge, but like we the viewer don't get the
Well,
opportunity
you
to
see
dive.
glimpses of how she was when she was a kid, right? And
Yeah,
she
but
she
like not with the first child, right? With the early
yeah,
parenting.
you don't get that, right?
Yeah,
But I think they show that she became hardened, right? Because she wanted to take care of the bird, or she wanted a cat. And when the
yeah,
cat
yeah,
killed the bird, then she doesn't want cats anymore because it's like that's a very sensitive
yeah.
thing.
That lesson,
That lesson
the
she
death
learned,
is
right?
real. Cats are
That's real.
killers.
Be mean to your kid.
Yeah, and she was like a little demon in what we in the glimpse that we see, like whether that event happened in actuality in their timeline or not, because everything's kind of dreamy,
Yeah,
right?
I think that every event you're meeting kind of happens, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't
So
know.
like,
I guess yeah, it's not something. I
yeah.
don't think it matters to the story if it happened or not, right?
We also kind of going back to what I was saying about the point of view is like we also know what the father does for a living, that he's an architect and that he designed the house that they live in, which I thought was a cool element. But like we don't know what the mom does for a living. We know that she takes a business trip.
Yeah,
So
they're
like
not
potentially
really.
she's in sales or something.
I mean, does it make a difference, right? If
I just think it's I just think it's something worth pointing out that like we get less of her,
mm,
and I feel like it makes us judge her a little more harshly because you know
Yeah,
yeah,
I would agree. Like if you're in some high stress job, it's hard to not bring that home.
yeah.
It really is. So I may have been more empathetic towards that, but I did really like the they were trying to throw like gender roles to the wind.
Yeah, it feels progressive in
Yeah.
terms of modern Japan, where there's still a lot of issues going on with sexism there. If you read in the news, there was like this big strike against like shoes in the workplace, because like women were like forced to wear high heels, and they're like, it's killing us. And like there was like, and this was just last year. Um, so they're still going through a lot. So I thought the film was very progressive in that like it did kind of reverse their traditional roles where the dad is the stay-at-home dad and the mom is the one who like wants to work. And as a couple, it makes them a very modern couple. Like this is a very modern like film, you know.
it
They're
came out like
using
2 years ago, right? Probably
yeah,
maybe
yeah, it's
5 years ago.
2018.
Yeah,
Um so, like he's even filming with the baby with the iPad, you know. So it's got these very like kind of
the
modern.
grandparents are using the iPad.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, all
Did,
right.
did Apple pay for that product placement?
If they were smart, then yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they get
I
some
mean,
money.
they drew the apple on it,
Yeah,
so
Oh,
yeah.
did they?
I was
Yeah.
surprised. And it was I compared it. I paused and compared it. It's that it's the right apple.
Come on, what's it look like?
yeah. Either he was just that dedicated to realism, or maybe they made a little something for the
Yeah,
production
good for
budget.
them. Good for them. These
Yeah,
movies are expensive to make. You
yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
take everything you can.
Yeah, I liked the motif or like the tool of the yard in the middle of the house being sort of the activation for these dreamy trips through time that like every time he's got a problem and it waits for him to cross through the yard to like activate the magic, and we get uh a bit at the end how she kind of explains that the tree like what does she call it? She's like it's a code or it's an index.
Ancestry index, yeah.
This is an index. I'm not exactly sure.
I mean, it's like I said, like I don't think the science behind and like
Yeah.
like like the rules of the universe aren't that important,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So it's,
Yeah, and it's a family tree is
yeah.
kind of where they're going with that, I think.
The house itself, that's like a character in its own, right? Just like the way it
Yeah.
was built, it was like it's like vertical. It's on like a
Yeah, it's on like
shelf,
multiple levels,
like
but
steps,
it's
right?
yeah, it was really cool. It's like yeah, it's like
I have a
a
lot to say about
envelope
this.
here with a garden in the middle.
Yeah.
It was very cool. I liked it. What do you got to say about it, Rochelle? I want to hear it.
Well, first, just a little critique. That place is hella dangerous for like a toddler to be
Lots
running
of
around.
stairs.
But
Lots of
like
Sure.
stairs.
lots of stairs. I was like, what? But it was a really well designed home. Like I would live there in 5 seconds. The I believe the man who actually did the music.
Hold on, Rochelle.
Nope.
I'm getting an attempt to reconnect light.
Oh no.
So maybe check the feed just to see if we're still.
We seem okay.
I think we've just frozen.
We have 5 watchers. Oh my god, hi watchers.
Oh, of course. Come on, reconnect already.
Yeah, it looks fine at our end.
Really?
Yeah.
I've lost sight of everything. I'm not sure why.
Weird.
Yeah, and my YouTube page is frozen. Yours is still running?
Mine's running.
Weird. Because I'm hosting, so I'm just worried that it's. All right. Well, go ahead and keep making your point, and we'll see what happens here. You let me know if it shuts down.
Yeah, I have an eye on it right now. Okay, so dangerous for children because of all the stairs, but it was very beautiful. I would live there in 5 seconds. Where are my notes? There we go. So they brought in an actual architect to design the house, which I thought was really neat. The architect's name is Makoto Tanijiri. I'm sorry I butchered that. And I thought that was really neat that they brought in a proper architect to design like an animated home. And I think that the house speaks a lot to like how children view the world as opposed to how adults view the world. Like children, they kind of see what's in front of them. So like he sees that playroom and he sees the garden, but like I'm sorry, other way around. He sees how they all like kind of intertwine in the house, right? So like he can see the garden from his playroom, whereas adults will only see what's right in front of them. And so like as the child grows, he begins to start just seeing things that's right in front of him, which I do think speaks to his character arc in this film.
I didn't even think about that. That's cool. That's a cool way to look at it. It looks like we lost John for a second, but the stream's still going, so I guess we can keep going.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, he's gone. Shit.
It says hang tight. He will be back soon. Gonna hit him up maybe he's having internet problems, but it seems like we're still going.
Yeah, we're still going.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. The house was really just how expensive would that be to heat?
I know. I was also wondering like if it's snowing, like or raining, you have to like go through the courtyard to leave the house. I was like, that doesn't sound fun, but I'd still live there.
Right, you'd have to have your shoes in front of like in the dining room, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but yeah, no, it's cool. And I like the tree there in the middle, and it's very subtle. But if you watch the beginning, you can see like there's an empty lot, and then they build the house into the lot when they're doing the bird's eye shot coming down.
Whoa!
So it starts like when they're very far out, you don't see the house in there, and then as they come in closer, you see the house gets built.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. Welcome back, John.
Yeah, thank you.
John,
hopefully you guys have been going.
Is John back? John's back!
I see him on the stream. I don't see him in here, but
okay. John's back. Johnny back.
I should be. I should be back.
Fun note: that tree's an oak tree.
Is it? All right.
Yeah. So I thought that was.
They grow very slow.
All right.
Little tidbit.
Cool. Yeah, thank you guys.
The house is just cool, and it was just like
go ahead.
Certainly, yeah, I don't know, like raising a kid and carrying stuff up and down those steps is probably a nightmare, but it's there I kind of see something.
Yeah, sorry, I was on the stream and then you guys couldn't hear me. Thank you for holding it down. Somehow it kept streaming. I don't know how that happened.
We're good, yeah.
A little bit of technical difficulty, but go on. Sorry to interrupt.
No, we were just talking about the house and how the house is like a character in itself, right, of the story.
Yeah, yeah, very, very cool house. I would love to live in a place like that. Yeah, but those kids are going to fall down those stairs, kill themselves.
Exactly.
Also, that kid's train set was bonkers. He had like enough pieces to go from the top section to the middle to the playroom, and like have it like wind all around the house on the way there. They got him a lot of toys. Yeah.
I had a lot of toys when I was a kid, though. I used to leave them all over the place. All my G.I. Joe toys.
Yeah.
My parents were stepping on them.
Yeah, I had action figures, but also we had these toys called constructs. They were like yeah, they were like architectural, I guess, toys.
Were they
Um,
metal?
they were plastic, and they would
Okay.
have, but they weren't like Legos. They were like they would have like square joint pieces, and then you would connect like
Yes,
these like rods to them, and you could build frames.
yeah,
You could build like spaceships or like forts. You did you have those, Rochelle?
I did. I had those.
Yeah, they were amazing,
Yeah.
and I feel like you say constructs, and most people don't know what they don't know what I'm talking about. And we had so many of these toys that and they were even kind of big enough to fit like the smaller GI Joes. Um like you could like kind of play with them together. Sorry, total tangent,
It's
but
okay. Well, since we're talking about toys, I was not a toy kid. The only toys I liked were like Legos and construction things I could build or like art things. Like I had like a fake, like, well, not fake, it was actual easel, but it was like made for kids and it was like, you know what I
sure.
mean? And I was just like always making stuff and like using my imagination. People would get me dolls and I'd be like, I don't fucking want this. Like I was a kid who'd rather have clothes if you were gonna get me like one of the two or books. Like so to see a kid to have just like a ridiculous amount of trains
Well,
was
remember his dad's an architect, right?
right,
So he's gonna buy that kind of toy for his kid, right? So
right,
it's
Yeah, get
right,
him building.
get him
right.
building,
But we
yeah.
don't see him play with other toys. So I thought that was really neat that like that was just like the center of his play.
Yeah, he
You
was
know?
obsessed with the trains.
Yeah.
Wanted to name the kid after the train, right? He had they asked for
Yeah,
the
he's
name.
like, "Oh, those are interesting names." She's like, "They're his trains." Don't even acknowledge those suggestions. No stuffed animals though, Rochelle.
No, I still
No.
hate them. Actually, someone got me this and I'm only keeping it because like I feel bad, but I was like, you don't know me at all. Well, it's an orangutan. I love orangutans, but like, yeah, no, I'm not like a stuffy person.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I still have my like original. Yeah, he's in there in the background, kind of hidden behind Appa. Um, but he's like the very first bear that I ever had. Somehow I
Mm-hmm.
didn't destroy it, and so like when I got to like high school, I was just like, I'm just gonna see if I can keep it. And so yeah, he's like my oldest friend. He's my buddy.
No,
Nice, nice.
His
that's
name's
cute.
Tedo because I could not say Teddy apparently when I called him Tedo. So that's his name.
Well,
Uh,
that's adorable.
yeah,
Do you guys remember when you learned how to ride a bike?
Mm-hmm. That
yeah. I was
probably
older. I think I was older than this kid. I was like 6.
Mm.
I want
yeah,
to
me
say.
too. I was about 6. Well, when I got off training wheels, I was about 6.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely tried somewhere around 4 or 5. I remember like my dad doing the thing where he like pushed me along as I was riding and like doing that whole thing. But yeah, when I first got up and going was probably like 6. It was like a little bit after that. This
I
kid learns
remember
quick.
he did. He did. I was with my sister, and this is one of my childhood memories. You know, and these things stay with you, right?
Mm.
And we were both trying to. She's 2 years younger than me. We were both trying to learn at the same time. And I was trying to go, and I couldn't really get going. And then she would go, and she was trying to beat me. And then she got going before me. And then after she got going, I immediately was able to. I was like, I'm not losing. It's like a competition thing. This is
That's funny.
yeah, but it's these memories of like
Yeah.
they stay with you, and you can see that the director. This is probably his memory of him learning how to ride a bike when he was a kid, and like
Yeah,
and it shows the dad. The dad cried every day when trying to
yeah.
learn
The
how
dad
to
was
ride.
really bad at it.
He was so bad at it. Side note, I have to give every father and mother out there a tip. You take one training wheel off, and then once they're good at that, then you take the other one off.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Now you know. I was so annoyed by that. I was like, you don't know what you're doing.
I was ready for the other kids to be like jerks
Me
about
too.
it.
I was too, but they were
Yeah.
cool, right?
Refreshing.
Yeah, they
They were
turned out to be
cool.
like really cool, strange kids, which was like not my experience. I feel like kids are assholes in
They are.
general.
Make fun of them for not having being able to ride the bike.
Yeah, like especially like those like 7 to 10 year old boys are just
Yeah.
like the worst.
Mm.
you know. But apparently this town, they're raising them right. You
Yeah,
know, good
yeah.
good for them. And also I guess just it's nice to see that depicted in a film, like
Right.
sort of opposite to the
Not everyone has to
evil
be
that
an
we're
a-hole,
used
right?
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was a good model for Coon, you know, because he's seeing these like older kids be kind and teaching and like nurturing towards him,
yeah,
which is really what the mother and father expect out of him for his sister.
yeah.
Yeah. But I have to say that in the very beginning, they bring the sister home, and the mother's like, you have to protect her and love her and like all these things. And I was like, you're putting so much adult responsibility on a fucking 3-year-old.
Well, and he's like, yeah, 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 and then immediately forgets all of it because he's a
Yeah.
punk.
Yeah. Like, you don't put that responsibility on a
Yeah.
child. Like, I would.
Also, regarding like the newborn baby, I immediately hated the grandmother for like throwing shame onto the girl's birthmark. You know, for what I imagine are obvious reasons. I like, I'm like, what the hell?
That's not cool.
Screw
Why are you
you,
gonna do
grandma.
that?
You're the part of the problem.
Totally. I have to say though, I thought when they said bruise, I was like, "Oh, that coon beat the hell out of her." I really thought that. I
He was gonna
really,
hit her with a train twice, right?
yeah,
Twice he tried hitting her with the train.
yeah. But once
Yeah,
he actually did hit her with the
yeah.
train.
Oh, did
It
he?
like barely hits her because the kids have no strength. Not-
I don't care. You hit her on the soft spot of the head.
Yeah.
It's not good for the baby. I
But
mean,
they
he does.
build it up. They build up the tension really well in that scene where it feels like, oh, it's gonna die. Another one where I thought the baby was gonna die is when the hands go close. Like
Yeah.
he gets the baby alone in the hand, and then he just like pulls on her ears and pokes her cheek, starts playing with her. But it's very ominous the way it's shot, where you're like, oh, he's gonna strangle this baby that he keeps saying that he hates. Like, yeah, there were like some good moments of tension, just like
Yeah.
you
Agreed.
know, well done. Um,
Did you guys know it was the dog when the guy with
No,
the
not
train?
right away.
not
Yeah.
right away. I was
Yeah,
so confused. I'm still confused by that. Like
I
how
did
did you,
recognize the voice actor immediately. I watched this dubbed, by the way.
like the kid
Go
Coon
ahead,
knew it was
Rachel.
the dog before I knew it was the dog, and I was like, how did this 3-year-old know it was the dog? Like, I was so
I got it
confused.
right around the time that he got it.
I
I
think
I
think
when,
did.
like a
when
heartbeat
he picks up
before.
the toy, right? That's when he figures it out, and the squeaky toy. And the guy's just
Yeah,
like, yeah. He grabs the
Yeah,
squeaky
yeah,
toy.
that's about the time I figured. But still, I was like, I don't get it. I just didn't, and I didn't really get it until he was like running around like a banshee in the house as the dog, and I was like, okay, okay,
but I
I guess.
like that his coat is the color of his
Yeah.
fur, you know, and he says that I'm the prince, and
I
you know,
was the prince of this house before you were here, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
I
because at first I was just like, what are we in for? And then I was like, oh, it's the dog.
it's a dog. When
Yeah,
when the prince first came out and he was like, I'm the prince, I was like, you look pretty raggedy to be a prince. But then like once it developed, I was like, oh, okay, you were the prince of the house. I get it. Like Weasley's
well,
my prince.
yeah. Well, and he was essentially like he went through the same thing that Coon's going through, where
Right.
he got all the attention, and like I thought that would be when Coon learned a lesson, but then he still keeps being jealous. He like can't not be jealous of the attention that she gets.
That's a hard thing to break. I mean, first
It's
of all,
true.
jealousy is completely natural. So, like, don't judge yourself if you're jealous. But, like, it's a hard thing to break. And really, at the end of the day, you can't break it. You just need to become aware of it and then, like, use that feeling to, like, drive positivity in your life. Like, I just went through, like, a jealous experience last week, you know, and, like, I had to, like, talk to my therapist about it because, like, it's an icky feeling. But when you're a child, like you don't understand the difference between like a bad feeling and a good feeling. You're just like feeling it and you don't have that cognitive ability to like switch it. You're just
Yeah,
experiencing things, you
yeah,
know? So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
yeah. I think even as a full grown adult, though, it's it's easy enough to recognize jealousy, and to still be affected by it. You know, to be
Yeah.
like, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah, of
Why
course.
can't I not feel it?
Yeah. No,
Like if I
feel
can
it.
recognize that
Like, if
it's
you're jealous,
ugly.
feel it. It's fine. Like
Yeah,
you're a fucking human being. but just don't be like choking your sister and hitting her with trainers.
Yeah. But in general, it is kind of a fairly dumb emotion, I would say, as far as
Yeah,
as far as
it
emotions
is.
go.
That's why you have to learn how, like, you need to evolve and learn how to use it.
You just got to recognize it,
yourself.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
recognize
exactly.
it
Recognize
and
it.
feel it, and then become better because of it. You know, like
Just don't make your decisions based off it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like jealousy, anger, these things, it's like you have to find a way to express them where you're not causing chaos in people's lives, cuz they can easily do that.
And he's a
And
3-year-old boy, right? He's a little kid. You can't,
yeah.
he's going to experience jealousy, and he's just
Yeah.
going to act on it, right? And
right,
he'll
and
be
he
Yeah.
doesn't know what it is. He's 3. You know,
Yeah.
like this is
But
probably
like he meets his future, so he meets future Mirai, Mirai at like what, 15, 16, something like that. Sounds like she's getting close to the end of high school. And he likes her, and she's like, be nice to me, because that's me. And you think he would respect it, and it's like he just kind of keeps getting this lesson.
He's a little kid, man.
I know, but he
why are you
keeps
expecting
getting
him
the
to-
lesson. Well, and that's where I go that this movie feels so real, because he constantly has to like re-get this lesson, and like still doesn't quite learn it. He learns it for a minute, and then his little fish brain like moves on. Like,
He learns some other things, right? He learns like about his family, and my favorite character is the grandfather.
yeah, who's Jin from Lost? I don't I forget the
Oh no
actor's
is he?
name.
shit!
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I recognized him right away. I was like, oh, I know that voice.
Yeah, he was my favorite character. And I think he just gave like
Daniel
great
Day-Kim,
advice.
that's it.
Oh yeah. Also Hawaii 50, is that him?
Yeah. I
And
never watched Fork. Yeah.
Always Be My Maybe. Anyone saw that one? That's
Oh,
great.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's
I've
good.
heard good
That's
things.
good. But yeah, he was like, because he was struggling to ride the bike, and then he gave him all the tips of like looking out into the distance and like,
Yeah.
and like, yo, you haven't ridden. He rides the horse and shows him, But there's a couple.
I liked his post realization that it was his grandfather. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do, and it really highlights that like whatever's happening isn't the result of like previous information.
Right.
He's like getting new information from these experiences. Like they are like, actually strange phenomenon that are kind of affecting him. I thought that was an
They
interesting
talk
thing.
about, right, the grandfather has a limp. He's not going to be. He can't run a race, and the rumor was that he raced his grandmom,
Yeah.
right, and then won her.
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about that moment, when they at the end, when they like go back to some of the moments in Free Fall, him and Future Mirai, and they show us the memory of the grandfather having that race, I like choked up. I
had
like
tears. I had 4.
it. Like, yeah, it got me, and I was just kind of like sitting there going like, why am I?
These emotions.
I feel like it's something about the loss of that story. I think is what got me, because it's like they tell the story in such an offhand manner, and it's even dismissed by by the other grandmother. I think.
Her daughter, right?
Yeah, that's right.
he's
Yeah,
the grandfather, so
yeah, that's right.
daughter,
He's the great grandfather.
He's a great grandfather. Yeah,
yeah. So the daughter is like, oh, that story's probably just made up.
yeah. He had a bad leg. He couldn't beat anyone.
Yeah, there's no way. And then when we see it, and we see the grandmother throw the race, and like he just runs anyway, and just kind of like plays it off in a very charming manner.
Yeah.
Also, which like good on him for doing that. Like, yeah, it got me right in the feels.
Yeah, that was a great moment. I think that's like in terms of like tugging on the heartstrings, it was like right there. It was for me.
Yeah, it's the biggest one in the movie, I think.
I agree. It was. I think it was like the biggest part for it to happen, if not the only part for it to happen for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked her, and I really did like Future Mirai. I thought that she was came off as a very likable character.
Yeah.
I like that she kind of like when we first meet her, she has her own agenda, because it gives the middle of the movie this nice little. There's like a short film in the middle of it where she's got there's some nice drama. She's got her
Got to put away the
goal.
box, right?
She's
Yeah.
like, we have to put away the box in case my timeline is affected and I can't hook up with somebody that I want to, like just to be on the safe side. um, and then they have that whole thing where him, the dog, and Mirai have to put the toys away without the dad
Yeah.
seeing. Which I did feel like there was one moment where they have to get the altar off the dad's butt, where they string it out so long. I was like, are we really still doing it? With the sweating.
I like the music there, just like the piano, where it's
Yeah.
like the yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
it was a fun moment. I did feel like it was maybe a little bit longer than I would have cut it, just on a personal level. But that was kind of a fun little. I thought a nice little kind of story within the story. Nice little short
Yeah,
that
and,
they
it
had
is
going.
nice. I think these movies, or this movie, it the stakes aren't the end of the world. The stakes aren't Thanos snapping his fingers, right? We're just
Yeah,
watching, the story of someone's family and like the history of their family and stuff, and like finding yourself in your place in the world. And I think it's nice to have something that's just not as doomsday as a lot of the
Yes,
movies that are out there,
yeah.
right?
totally.
You know what? One thing that made me a little sad about this story is Future Coon.
He
I
was
was
he wasn't too happy.
he
He
was
wasn't.
yeah. I'm like, man, he turns into just like this emo, like I don't give a shit. Like he's not even like
Well, I
we don't
think
see him be mean to his sister, but we also
yeah,
don't see him be nice. He's just kind
no,
of like,
he's brooding.
don't be such a barbarian.
Yeah, but
Like, yeah,
I
he's so
think
brooding.
that's the version that she changes. So I mean, obviously, you don't really like how the time travel works. Who knows, right? They
I
kind
got
of
the feeling that it
that's
doesn't
him.
change though.
That's gonna be him. Yeah,
That is him. That like these moments will more or less be forgotten into that time of like your memory where everything's kind of still forming, a little fuzzy, and like
but that doesn't. He says to him, "You don't want to miss out on the vacation.
yeah, he's like pissed at him
He's gonna
for
skip the
missing
vacation."
out.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah,
worried about
because you're
what color
throwing a
pants.
tantrum. Um,
But then he puts on he doesn't care about what color his pants are, right? And he gets and then goes anyway.
that's true.
So
Hmm.
I
Yeah, he
think that
like
that's the change, right? And then like okay, now I'm gonna have these great moments and memories with my family.
yeah, I'm gonna try and appreciate the moments for what they are. He has that kind of
Yeah,
realization.
yeah,
I think that is a big realization that at least I want to say that we all have, but at least that I had at some point where there are like these moments when I was very young where it was like, oh yeah, let's stop and savor this. And I feel like they started happening like somewhere around 4 years old, right? Like my earliest concrete memory is my fourth birthday. Um, like I remember the fourth birthday party. And so like right around that time, a little before, a little after, there are those moments where you're just like, oh yeah, like nature's crazy, like the world is big, and or like I'm doing something with my family, and you're actually taking the time to appreciate and remember that moment. Whereas like most of the time when you're yelling and screaming about your toys or not having the right shorts to wear, like you forget that stuff. And so I think that this movie is kind of like it ends us on like that transition of like making those concrete memories and
yeah.
like
Stop and appreciate them. Remember these moments with your loved ones, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
And
pretty.
how those little moments will shape future generations within your family.
right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is crazy to think of like all the little things that go into making you.
Yeah.
And like if things didn't happen just so,
Hmm.
like we wouldn't be, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, there's something like my grandmom when my grandfather they had just gotten married and she was graduating college and he was getting ready to ship out. He was fighting. He's going to go to Korea, and she went from Philadelphia and drove down with him and skipped her graduation and drove out with him to ship. They drove down to Texas and then for their honeymoon just to drive together, and then he went and shipped out, and then she drove back to Pennsylvania. and then she had skipped a graduation for it, right? But then my father was never big on ceremonies because of that. I don't know if it's because of that, but I don't think that my
But you feel
grandmother.
like that's
Yeah,
probably
I
an
feel that
influence.
could have could have been something where she wasn't big on a ceremony because she skipped them, and then my dad never really was really big on them.
Yeah, they never stress the importance
Yeah,
because
and then
of
for
that.
me, I don't really care either, right? I didn't want to go for any of my graduations, so it's sort of you
Your
see these
blind
little
spot.
yeah, it's like a butterfly effect, right?
Mm,
My mom
yeah,
made me. I was like, you pay for it because you know how they make you pay to like walk in university. I was like, you pay for it because if
Yeah,
I have to sit there for 4 hours, it's coming out of your wallet.
I tried to like sell my old cap and gown, and I was just like, no one wants this. I was like, damn it.
I had like a kindergarten graduation ceremony. Like there are pictures of me in like a red cap and gown as like a kindergarten. They're like the cutest pictures that exist of me. I still like that was the peak of. I do love that moment where he's like, "I'm not cute anymore,"
Oh, I know.
right? She's like, "You're still cute." He's like, "No, I'm not," because it is something that I think is important when you're a little kid. Because adults tell you that it's important.
Yeah.
They show you that. Oh, we love that you're cute, and now there's something cuter. Um,
That
did
just brought up a really sweet thing for me that happened last year. So I have a niece and a nephew, and my niece is almost 3. And last year she had her first haircut, and I made my sister film it. And there was a moment she gets her haircut, and then she opens her eyes and looks in the mirror, and her face just lit up, and it was so amazing to see like this little beautiful thing love what she sees in the mirror. And the only thing I could think about was like, how do we keep that in her, because everything society is going to do to her, that sucks. And like to see Coon already having that realization at the age that my niece is going to be very soon was kind of like set me back a bit, and I was like, does it really start that early? you know?
Hitting a little
yeah,
close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah. This movie is great in just like the nostalgia that it brings out in us. Like this is a very different conversation than we've had on a lot of the films, where it
Mm-hmm.
is like more. It's just like encouraging us to reminisce about ourselves and think about our own history, and like a time that I like that it is from Kuhn's perspective as opposed to from the parents' perspective, because that's the one that we get all the time. But like the one that we're always drifting farther and farther away from is that little kid perspective, and it's interesting to kind of go back to that. Um,
Yeah, I think that's what's great. That's what I love about this movie is that it makes you think inward, right? And it's not something. It's not some puzzle that you're trying to figure out or something. It's just like no, it's just gonna make me think about myself and my memories that I have, my relationships with people, my family.
Speaking of memories, I think we should all share our worst tantrum story,
our worst tantrum
I
story.
know, I know mine. I
or
know
at
mine.
least one that you can remember.
Yeah, if Dee knows his, go ahead. I'll think about it for a sec.
Um, I was when I had first got glasses. I think it was in 5th grade, and I did not want to wear my glasses, and I hated my glasses. And my sister, she used to make fun of my little sister used to make fun of me for wearing the glasses. And then I was at school, and then they had the glasses on. I forget what I started arguing with the teacher, and um, I threw my glasses down and stomped on them. I was like, "I don't want to wear these. I don't want to wear these." I broke my glasses.
Oof, yeah,
Yeah,
that's rough.
yeah, that was.
Glasses are expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are. But when you don't want to wear glasses, then you throw a
Yep.
hissy fit, right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the tantrums are hard because I was sort of the more peaceful of two brothers. My brother was kind of the chaotic one, and I would kind of like use that to dodge out of the limelight. Um, but there was something in this movie that like called back to me in kind of a similar way, which was when like right before he gets the final vision of being alone, like on the train station and all that, and he's like in the house and the parents aren't there, and he's like, "Holy crap, they've left me." what am I going to do? I do have a memory of like that, of like, I was probably a little older and like, I knew that like my parents were going to come back, but they were late from when they were supposed to arrive. And so I like just started to panic and like freaked out that they were late. And it just felt like you get that dog syndrome where you're like, oh, they're never coming home. Uh, did we lose D? I feel
I'm
like,
here. You're a little.
oh, you froze a little bit. Yeah, our connection's a little choppy, but I'm glad you can still hear me. But yeah, I did have one of those, so I like had a vivid callback to that. Um,
And he's gone.
yeah, we lost. We'll get D back in a sec. So do you join the room? Do you left the room? Here, we'll add him back. Did you had a
Yes, actually, in the same part of the film that you were just discussing. So I was a fucking brat when I was a kid. Like, ask anyone in the family, John. I was a fucking brat. And I think I was like 8, and it was the whole family was there, like Uncle Paul, my dad's new wife at the time, Stacy, Auntie Rogelyn, like her kids, like Uncle Paul's kids, like the whole family was there, right? And we were in like the tiger section, and they had just installed this like new like machine where you would press the buttons and it would like do this whatever sound of the tiger and then explain what the sound meant. And I was terrified, I thought the tiger was I had an active imagination. I was like, this tiger is gonna come out because it thinks that this tiger's talking to it, and I am gonna die. And I wanted to leave, and no one wanted to leave because it was a new tiger enclosure, and tigers are fucking awesome. And so I started, yeah, they're amazing. And so I just started screaming and crying, and I ran off. I took off. And if you are familiar with the San Diego Zoo, the tiger enclosure is on top of a hill, and then you go down a hill into like another part of the zoo. So I ran all the way down the hill. And prior to this, I would use this method a lot. And the family would come and like chase me, And Uncle Paul does not put up with that shit. So he told them, like, don't go after her, right? So I run down the hill, I'm freaking out, and then I realize no one's following me. So I stand at like the gift shop, and I'm just like, where are they? Like, they'll be here soon. They don't come. Like 10 minutes goes by. I'm not even kidding. So I run back up. They're all there. And Auntie Rogelyn says, I was like standing off to the side looking at them like this. And I do remember like the tantrum part, but I don't remember like being so angry afterwards. But I mean, I see it. And I think that was like my last major tantrum because I them not going after me just kind of snapped out of it, I guess. But yeah, that was a regular experience for my family, for me.
It's so impossible to know as a parent, like when that kind of tough love is going to work versus when it's just going to completely fail. Because it's like such a fine line where like, I'm either going to teach the kid the right lesson or I'm going to traumatize them.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it's something that scares me about prospectively having kids.
Well done, Paul. Well done.
Yeah. Good work on that one. Do we have any other final thoughts, or before we wrap up, anything that you guys wanted to kind of touch on that we didn't get to? Is Steve still with us? I can't tell.
Sure.
Are you with us?
I see him, but I don't hear him.
Yeah, he seems to have frozen, but he hasn't dropped. Yeah, a little bit of connectivity issue today. Sorry, listeners. Anyone who's
you know what? One thing I did want to address, and we don't have to go into a big deep discussion about it. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But a lot of people in the reviews said that there is like development and connection between like the supernatural and reality was not well done, and we travel through time, and it's just so like abrupt. There's no like a slow introduction of this, but I think people need to realize that that's the toddler's mood and behavior, and that's why it switches in the way that it does. And I think it shows that the director really understands like children and their emotions and the way that their mind works. And so I think that people need to be more open to that if they watched it again and they originally felt that way.
Yeah. It's like there are some like nitpicks that you can have with that. Like, how are they traveling through time? But then like, what's the deal with the dog? Um, and I just kind of I try not to let that sort of thing bother me um, in this kind of film because it's really not the point, right? That is at that point kind of nitpicking because, like Dee said, the science doesn't really. I don't
Yeah,
think it really matters in the end.
it's animation. Who cares?
Yeah,
This isn't COVID, okay?
yeah, and it is a fantasy film,
Yeah.
like it is. It has some elements of realism to it, but yeah, it is in the end kind of fantasy. Any final thoughts, Dee? Now that we've got you back.
No, I just really like this movie, and I hope other people, they watch it and they have a good experience and good, it makes them feel introspective, and maybe they can reconnect with their family and memories and whatnot, and
Yeah,
and
bust
more.
out the old photo albums.
Yeah, yeah.
This discussion made me change my feelings on the film. I think I will
Yeah,
watch it again once
yeah,
I maybe self medicate to get through that tantrum. But
yeah. That's been a common theme for me with these films is that like by the time we hit the end of the podcast, I totally appreciate them like all more, uh, with the exception of Creed 2, which I think did not improve upon discussion. Uh, Major shade to Creed 2, but whatever.
I felt that
Uh,
way about Onward, so don't worry.
about Onward, yeah, fair. I that one I did appreciate a little bit more. Um, Movies are better when discussed, when shared. So I hope everybody kind of takes a cue from this and treats it like a movie club that you can talk about these movies and share them with each other. Please give us a like if you're watching this. That little thumbs up helps us a lot. It just spreads us out, gets us new viewers.
Comment below on your worst temper tantrum as a child.
Yeah, let us know what a terrible demon baby you were as a child, because none of us were perfect, and kids are jerks. Uh,
I'm
definitely,
perfect now, though. Okay.
yeah, of course. Um, do follow us on Instagram at Views and Paradox. We post posters of the movies, and we do some kind of reminders so that you guys can keep up with the show. Know when it's on.
Fan
Go to the
posters specifically.
Yeah, if they're available, we go with fan posters. Mirai didn't really have any, so we went kind of. I looked for like international posters and things like that. But yeah, we do try to like put up interesting art that maybe you haven't seen. So do follow the Instagram because it's fun. We're trying to get that up to 100. We got 100 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And also join the Facebook group. You can search Movie Club Collective. We've added Views and Paradox to the name, right?
Yeah, just in
So you should,
parentheses so it's clear.
yeah. I haven't attempted that search myself to see if it pops up if we just search Views and Paradox. But then we do have a page that comes up. Feel free to like that page. Um, yeah, join the Facebook group. We have lots of kind of silly uh, film related commentary discussions, and those have actually been really fun lately. I've been having a lot of fun with them. I asked people, for example, this week what their favorite animes were, and we had some, a lot of stuff that I feel like is very familiar. I threw out Paprika because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen that unless they're already kind of deep into anime. But it's a trippy movie. Inception is somewhat based on that movie. Um,
Thank you for saying that.
yeah.
I
Well,
have
So,
I have lots
oh,
of bones with Inception.
you
Anyway,
should watch. I mean, if you like all those movies, go watch all that. Like, do that horizontal viewing of that director, Satoshi Kon.
yeah.
He's got tons of the perfect blue where they're in the bathtub and she screams and the bubbles come up and stuff. And
Mm.
yeah, it's there's a lot of big shots in there that are
Yeah, they're just very epic. Um,
And I hope and I'm an anime fan. I hope people they watch this and they get to see that there's maybe they can broaden their horizon a little bit and try some different things. A lot of people they think anime is either like the really pulpy stuff or studio or the Ghibli stuff, which they're all that stuff's good, but there's just more to it than
yeah,
just
there's
with the
there's so
initial.
much diversity to
Yeah.
it. It's like it's just as rich as like live action film essentially, which is why I like this film. And
Yeah,
Um,
certainly. I think people they have trouble getting into it because there's a lot going on, and a lot of people don't really know where to start and stuff. But you just pick one,
yeah,
pick a director you like, and watch all their movies, and then
yeah.
go from there.
This is a good one. I think this is a good entry one. If you can stand children, if you hate children, maybe pick a different one. You
Or
know,
if you like want birth control, just watch this.
yeah, it's a it's a good warning to those out there that parenting's not always a great cup of tea. Rochelle, our film next week. We know what it is, right?
Hold on. I
I
forget.
know.
Wait, it's a horror movie and it has
Oh,
what's her name in it?
Train to
Rita.
Busan is next week. So join us. Recently, a sequel came out. Um, oh, I'm gonna blank on the name. Do you
Train
know
to
it, D?
Busan too.
No, it's not. It's not Train
No.
to Busan. It's called like starts with a P. Oh, I forget now. It's a completely different name though, which is rare for sequels. But Train to Busan has a sequel that just came out. So
Peninsula. Oh no.
Peninsula, that's it. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like one of the very few movies in the world making box office money right now, which is why it's notable. It made 20 million at the box office when like nothing else is out. So it's currently king of the box office uh, in the world. So we're gonna watch the original Train to Busan. It's got great reviews. It's on Netflix, so go there to see it and join us next week for a nice discussion. D, thank you so much for joining
Guys,
us.
thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed our discussion quite a bit. So
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
I liked kind of this branching out.
me too.
Rochelle, um, any where can the people find you?
On
Go there,
Instagram at Rochelle Racine. If you want to follow me and
and you can
watch me get sassy, same thing. You can do it there too.
nice. Yeah, I prefer Instagram also. I've been posting pictures of Ghost of Tsushima because I'm addicted to the photo mode. Uh, anyone who likes cinematography, I would imagine, would love this game because it's just gorgeous. But I also post for this show right here and just general stuff I do when I'm bored. Um, so without further ado,
Right. Where
until
can we
next week.
find D?
What's that?
Where can we find D?
I don't need to be found.
D
It's
doesn't want
fine.
to be found. Yeah, sorry.
I don't need to be found.
I actually skipped it on purpose this week because D prefers his anonymity.
Okay. Cool.
He's like he's ghost. He is a ghost.
Ghost, 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 ghost. Well, without further ado, John.
Yeah, watch more movies, everybody.
Watch more
Happy
movies.
viewing.